As we go in 2025, there's no doubt we need to be eliminating human error. We talked to two experts on that on this episode from Nape Expo 2025 of the Crude Truth.
In 1901, at Spindletop Hill near Beaumont, the future of Texas changed dramatically as, like a fountain of fortune, thousands of barrels of oil burst from the earth towards the sky. Soon, Detroit would be cranking out Model Ts by the millions, and America was on the move, thanks to the black gold being produced in Texas. Now, more than a century later, the vehicles are different, but nothing else has truly changed. Sure, there may be many other alternative energy sources like wind and solar and electric. But let's be honest, America depends on oil and entrepreneurs, and if the USA is truly going to be independent, it has to know the crude truth.
This episode is brought to you by LFS Chemistry. We are committed to being good stewards of the environment. We are providing the tools so you can be too. Nape Expo, where deals happen. Air Compressor Solutions. When everything is on the line, Air Compressor Solutions is the dependable choice to keep commercial business powered up. Sandstone Group. Exec Crew. Elevate your network, elevate your knowledge. Texas Star Alliance. Pecos Country Operating. Fueling our future.
Well, hello and get ready because we are here at Nape again this year. So thank you so much to the Nape Expo group and AAPL for having us back on. And guys, thank y'all so much for coming. As I'm diving in here, I'm just overly excited. My guests today are David Bowman and Leigh Haas from KnowledgeVine. Guys, how are y'all doing?
We're doing great, Ray. Thanks for having us today.
Well, thank y'all for coming all the way from far east Louisiana, near Mississippi, some would say, right, Leigh?
Yes, Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Heavy on the pert near.
Oh my gosh. Guys, you guys are literally rocking it out. And, you know, we talked about it in our pre-production meeting. It's like you go, oh, I do human error. And I go, oh, I know what you do. You're in a business. You go, no, you don't. Only, you know, David, what is KnowledgeVine and what are you guys up to?
Yeah, great question. So human performance is what we're teaching. We have a whole system. We have software that goes along with it, training, field coaching, et cetera, all the bells and whistles to make it easy for the client to, I guess, learn a new language and then use that language to eliminate human error in the field. Something we brought out of nuclear power years ago. Nuclear power is, you know, one of the safest places you can work, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And part of that is because of the 3 Mile Island incident in 1979. Some of that came out of that was we got to do better about human error elimination. We worked with pilots, they did, from Federal Aviation back then. That said, you know, we were blaming pilots, pilot error every time we crash a plane. We can't do that anymore. We got to know what is going on and why this is happening. So getting our standards tighter to our behaviors and vice versa is how we eliminate that risk. And that's what we teach.
Wow, there's so much unpacked there. Leigh, you are there, and you know, tell us about you and your role there at KnowledgeVine.
So I started out in politics, which is very much about human error. And then I worked in oil and gas for the last 10 years, building natural gas pipelines all throughout the country, which just as much, you know, there's just as much need there as there is anywhere else. Anywhere there's somebody that can make a mistake, you know, so that's where I came from. And so I'm trying to help KnowledgeVine bridge the industries across, you know, from nuclear power to oil and gas, you know, so that's where I come in.
I love it, man. I mean, you guys, you have been just putting so much thought leadership out there, Leigh, really kind of adding a lot more value to what y'all are doing over there. Because again, with human performance errors, and there's so much still that, you know, safety is always number one in the oil and gas industry for us here at Pecos, right? And how many things can still be eliminated in dangers just by being cautious, being sure, right?
Yeah, I mean, you think about, you know, we just talked about this before, is that, you know, people, it's almost an automatic belief that this is about safety. But I want to be honest with you. It's really about productivity. It's really about quality. And safety is a byproduct. Because if you think about it, if you're doing things right and you don't have waste and you don't have a lot of things to go and rework and that kind of thing because of human error, by proxy, you're going to be safer. It's kind of like we used to say in the total quality management days, is that I've never seen a high quality group with bad safety. And I never see a high safety group with bad quality. They go hand in hand. And then the key to this whole thing is that return on your investment. I mean, if we can show you a way to spend this much money to gain that much money because you don't have rework and a lot of human error, That's what we're here for. That's my job as the CEO, is to give that return on investment to the C-suite and the companies I'm working with. That's the goal.
Wow, that is so true. Leigh, when y'all are looking at things like that, how do y'all work with different companies and things like that?
Well, I think one of the most important things that KnowledgeVine does is we work from the individual all the way to the leadership to the executive level. So we're teaching everyone on the front line how to behave, or behaviors that will keep them safe. So for example, myself, I now back into my driveway. That's something KnowledgeVine taught me to do. The phonetic alphabet, the 3-part communication. It's all these very, you would think, normal things that people don't do on a daily basis, and the byproduct is that it's a safer environment for everyone.
Wow.
One of the things I love to hear people say when we teach this, we teach something called self-checking. It's one of the primary human performance tools. Stop, think about what you do, and take the action and review to get what you wanted. And a lot of people, when we teach that, they say, well, I've been doing that for years. We're like, well, I know you did, but it wasn't a standard until we gave you a language, right? That's why I said language earlier. When you start calling it something and you have a repetitive behavior, now you actually have a standard to follow, not just go out there and self-check. I mean, this is actually something you can do.
Right.
Very low-level tool, but it's a very good tool, because I look at it this way. I did a lot of root causes in my life back in the days, and I've never had somebody look at me from a hospital bed and go, I really thought about what I did, and then I questioned how it would go wrong before I cut my own leg off with my chainsaw. No one ever tells you that.
No.
Yeah.
I think something else that's very important is when people think safety, they think OSHA or somebody's coming out to catch them doing
Compliance.
something.
Yeah.
Well, and I will quote my boss, something he said when I first started is, I want to catch you doing something right.
Yeah.
And I think that's something very important to bring to the audience, is we want to tell you what you're doing right. And if you are doing something wrong, we're just going to tell you how to improve on that.
That's funny y'all mentioned catch somebody doing something right. We never hear people say, oh, look at the great job they're doing. I've seen a few operators in my day, like when we're working on wells or other things, and all of a sudden you see the president of a company come out, see a guy in all the proper attire, just hands him $100 bill right there. And it's like, doing a great job. Keep it up.
We teach positive reinforcement.
Right. Positive reinforcement works.
It's actually a tool that we help teach the leaders of the companies.
That works. We don't need the clicker like they do with the dogs or anything like that. But I think the positive reinforcement is truly what works.
It's scientifically proven. I mean, if you think about it, a 4-to-1 positive. I got into some kind of a study on this, and I was looking at marriages that are successful. And they said in the first year, if you have more criticisms for your spouse than you do positive reinforcement, you'll be divorced in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And so there's actual science that goes into these things we're talking about. Matter of fact, my mantra is science, application, data. If I don't have the science to teach you why this works, and I mean, I don't just teach you self-checking, right?
Yeah.
That's one part of it, but you got to understand how the brain works and why you go to where you go to when you're a worker and you're doing the job, or a C-suite person, how you make your decisions. We want you to know that science and then be able to apply that science. So if it's not applicable, I've taught you nothing. I've sold you a PowerPoint. That's pointless. And then I got to give you data to prove it, show you that this is working, show you what you need to improve on. That's the key. Science, application, data, and it works.
Science, application, and data. I like that.
Yeah.
When we don't talk about science, application, data, that's where the politics come into play. And you mentioned the pipelines and how you used to do work there. We need so many more pipelines for our infrastructure. Over the next 4 years, obviously we're all excited, right? You can feel the difference here this year.
Sure.
Like there's right. But where do you see the policy and the politics coming into play to hopefully add more pipelines and build that infrastructure?
Well, I see that, there's definitely the momentum is there, and to drill, baby, drill, everybody's all excited. I'm hoping that there's going to be a huge influx of pipelines being built, or the ones that they've stopped in the last administration that can, get restarted.
Right.
So with that, though, there will be a lot more construction.
Yeah.
There'll be a lot more tree felling, and so there will be a definite need for better safety protocol. The land agents, they're driving all over remote areas of the country, so there's a lot of traffic accidents. So we have certain programs like Star Driver, which will help teach behaviors that will increase the driver safety.
Oh, wow.
Well, I think this is a great point you're bringing up, and great points that Leigh made. And I will say this: we have to do our job right. We have to do it right. We have to do it safe. We can't give anybody any excuses for, this is why we shouldn't have built pipelines. We've got to make sure that human error doesn't kick in and we have some event that causes a setback and then another argument. Let's make it right. Let's make it productive, and that's going to be the win for all of us.
Yeah, I like that. You do it right and do it safely. Speaking of do it right and doing it safely and getting the job done, you are literally a unofficial, what, 6th generation Texan? Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that's official.
Yeah.
That's official.
Yes.
And please tell us why I like to say that you get the job done. And we're going to talk about your family for a second here, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, please. Let's discuss the Alamo and your literally path from the Alamo.
Yeah, I'm a direct descendant. 5th generation great-grandfather was Jesse B. Bowman. He fought in the Alamo. He came here from Ireland, landed in Pennsylvania, made his way over to Indiana, worked his way down to Arkansas, and he met a guy named Davy Crockett, and they moved from there to Texas, and he joined to get land, and have a dream. Unfortunately, he tried to grow potatoes before he went to the Alamo and didn't work out too well down here. But he went to the Alamo. Of course, he was killed there.
Yeah.
And then his son, Robert Bowman, he went and fought in Goliad and helped out getting a victory there.
Oh, my gosh. Well, I tell you what, you talk about potatoes. My grandfather had this whole scheme, random. He had this whole potato dream himself. Stored them, and it froze.
Oh, no.
and ruined them all.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah. So potatoes are hit and miss, I guess.
And speaking of the Alamo, we have our conference, the Human Performance in Action Conference is in San Antonio this March 17th through the 19th.
Yes, and thank you. Please tell us about that and what you will be talking about, if I'm correct, right?
The Human Performance in Action Conference, it's where all of the thought leaders from the human performance organization, all the, what would you call them? Practitioners get together, and they actually teach breakout sessions on human performance. So we have a lot of leaders and CEOs, business and decision makers that come to learn about leadership training and how to better run their organizations from the ground up.
And that's a testament to the application piece. We want to make sure we're always helping any organization that's trying to learn this to have something to do on Monday. I don't like going to conferences and I listen to somebody tell me something all week long, and then Monday I go back and we just do what we used to do before. That was a waste of money and time. And so we want to have something that you can apply. Even if you don't work with us, you can at least come get knowledge and a knowledge base. And even if you're thinking about working with us, it's a great place to come first to see if this is going to be a good fit for your organization. We have so many repeat attendees that come to that thing because they want to learn, and we bring somebody new. Heck, we had Jake Wentz, the CEO of Buffalo Trace and Sazerac, was our guest speaker last year. Great guy.
Department of Energy comes every year.
Yeah, Department of Energy's there. We have a lot of people that really use human performance in places you wouldn't think they could. But it just shows you that if you have a human and you have a set of standards, you got the potential for error. And even in Buffalo Trace, you can make mistakes that cost you a lot of money. So it's a good time. We'd like to have you there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, guys, look, as we get going, KnowledgeVine, how can they get a hold of y'all? How can they reach out and get their productivity up and actually then keep their safety issues down?
Leigh is a champion on LinkedIn. I'm not so much. I guess I'm a boomer, so I'm not great with social media. But she's great at LinkedIn and reaching out that way. You can go to knowledgevine.com. We have a mail at KnowledgeVine that comes to all 5 of the lead team, and me included. We can see what your questions are, anything you need from us. Just knowledgevine.com is the easiest way to get in touch with us, or LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah. We have KnowledgeVine has a LinkedIn page. We have a Facebook page, and then you can also just reach out to either Bowman or myself on our cell phones as well.
I love it.
Yep.
And Leigh, as we're here at Nape, Leigh, what are your thoughts on it so far?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. The environment, the atmosphere, everyone's wonderful, and the momentum's definitely up this year with the new political arena that we have. So I love it. I think it's a great opportunity to really showcase what we can bring to the oil and gas industry.
I love it. And David, what are your thoughts?
This is my first one.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of time with my head in the utilities sector, so I didn't get a chance to come to many oil and gas. This is my first one. I think it's amazing. I love the energy in the room, no pun intended.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people here that care and they want to do great things. And I think you have just a tremendous set of people here that care about this country. And, look, oil and gas is the blood. Yeah. It's the blood and the heart for our country. We've got to have it. We got to do it right. Yeah. And we got to just eliminate the argument and keep on going, baby. Yeah. Drill, baby, drill.
Drill, baby, drill. I love it. Well, Leigh, David, I cannot thank y'all enough for y'all's time. I know y'all have way more important things to do. So I just want to say thank y'all again for the time, and to everybody out there, thank you again to the Nape Expo, and we'll see you again on another episode of The Crude Truth.
Again, The Crude Truth would like to thank today's sponsors: LFS Chemistry, Nape Expo, Air Compressor Solutions, Sandstone Group, Exec Crew, Texas Star Alliance, Pecos Country Operating, and Real News Communication Network.
The easiest way to start your own podcast and TV show? Real News Communications Network.
Stand out from your competition. Produce streams of high-quality social media content. Become a thought leader in your industry. With RNCN, you get to be the host. We handle everything else. Tour one of our 3 locations in Dallas, Fort Worth, and the Colony. Call 972-402-6333 or visit launchashow.com to find out more.